Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Who is the most frightening figure in British politics today? Well, we all know it's Nigel Farage. He poses an existential threat to the Tory party. There are many in the Tories who really do believe that they are going to get basically shoveled because of the attractiveness, as it were, of Reform UK led by Nigel. But it isn't just the Tories that are fear of him, because it seems that so is John Swinney and the SNP. They are scared of him, and they say that it is deeply troubling, is the words used, about his rise to power. They feel that within a few years you could have what they call a far-right Prime Minister. Nigel Farage is in no way far-right. He's a centrist. Yes, he's a capitalist, but no more than any of us others are. If you're sitting there with your mobile phone, you're a capitalist. Deal with it. All these people sitting there going, wasn't capitalism terrible, as they're tapping away on their iPhone. They're all full of it. Doesn't mean that you're ultra right wing, and neither is Nigel. But why are they scared? Why the SNP particularly? And why John Swinney must be crapping himself seeing the way that the whole of Europe are moving to the right because they've had enough of left-wing politics such as his. Let's take a look and see. So John Swinney fears the deeply troubling rise of Nigel Farage, and he thinks it will see the right-wing leader become Prime Minister. And I think there's many people that would like to see Nigel Farage become the Prime Minister. Certainly, he could do a better job than Rishi Sunak. But then on the other hand, my dog could do a better job than Rishi Sunak. My dog doesn't stab people in the back, for a start. In an interview with the Daily Record, the First Minister also ruled out ever campaigning with Alex Salmond again. We discussed that in a video yesterday. Only because, of course, because he's been told not to by dear sweet Nicola Sturgeon, that most loving and tender person whose mercies one can throw themselves upon, knowing she will hear you with a sympathetic ear. My arse. John Swinney has warned right-wing Nigel Farage is likely to become the next Tory leader and Prime Minister one day. The SNP leader sounded the alarm over the deeply troubling rise of the Reform Party chief. He said, "It makes me feel ill." Well, Reform have said that they're not going to align themselves and link and join with the Tories as the Tories currently are. He says, and this is Farage, is basically saying the Tories have gone so far to the left, they're just a blue new Labour. You know, he says there's no Tory values there. He says, and that is why so many people are voting for Reform. The natural Tory view can only be represented in that form. You know, the Tory party, the Conservatives, aren't Conservative anymore. That's what happens. It's all those One Nation lot, you know. Oh, let's all align around the centre rather than actually holding true to our firm beliefs. And that's why so many people abandon them. They wanted to vote for a left-wing party, then join a Labour party, wouldn't they? Anyway, Swinney also said he would never campaign with SNP leader Alex Salmond again after the SNP leader's bitter fallout with Nicola Sturgeon. And as I pointed out also yesterday, Nicola is, you know, doing that. She, you know, he's just a glove puppet. He also said he supported Labour's plans for VAT on public school fees and called for Keir Starmer to devolve employment legislation to Holyrood. Oh yes, it's always about more devolution, you know, more powers, power grab, monolithic. Now, it's all very well saying, oh yes, we agree with putting VAT on public schools. Answer me this, dear heart. Where are you going to put all the new pupils? Because you're going to drive aspirational families who are struggling to put their child through private school as it is, but giving them that start, they now can't afford it. So they go, okay, we'd have to go to the local comp, as it were. But there's no spaces. So you're going to create hundreds more schools? Is that what you're going to do? No? No, of course not. You're just going to put these kids in already oversubscribed schools and give them the second-rate education that you think they deserve. Incidentally, as a side, and I have no bearing on this, I'm reporting it purely as fact. One of the Institutes of Clinical Health has pointed out that people who go to public schools and get a nice little private education are measurably healthier than people who go to state schools. And they say the reason is public schools have facilities and push sport onto young people at an early age and consistently over many years, whereas state schools tend not to have necessarily the time, the teachers, or the necessary space in which to do this. So they're saying that actually forcing children to go into state schools is actually quite damaging to their health. There's an interesting thing. Perhaps rather than ameliorating this and saying getting rid of getting rid of private schools, they ought to lift the public sector education up to the level of private education in terms of facilities. Now there's a thought. You can do that quite easily. Just look at your foreign aid budget and say, nah, let's cull that and put it into education. Anyway, Labour are in line for a stunning general election victory on the 4th of July, but Starmer's party is locked in a battle with the SNP for first place in Scotland. The Labour Party have got some very weird policies at the moment, but again, it's policies of envy. Oh, we don't want people going to private schools. Oh, we're not going to raise taxes. We just raise taxes on private schools and all this. I didn't go to a private school. I don't have a dog in the fight, but I appreciate the value of them. I have a private medical insurance. Why? Because it's better. Private is always better than state because private is service oriented. State is just factory farming, isn't it? It's a sausage factory in the NHS. It's a sausage factory in schools, and it's all indoctrination. So who knows? Anyway, opinion polls reveal the rise of Farage's Reform Party could wipe out the Tories, and speculation is rife he could be the next Tory leader. It's going to be more likely that a lot of Tories will join Reform. Indeed, the Tory voters have decided to do that, and it's looking increasingly likely that there are certain, let's just say, current Tory politicians, knowing they will probably never be able to stand as a Tory politician again, who are considering stepping across. It wasn't really crossing the floor because, you know, they're both on the same side politically, I suppose, but there are Tory MPs that are considering stepping across to Reform because they see Reform as the new power base. That would be great, wouldn't it? I don't know who necessarily. It would have to be the ultra right wingers or the very sort of the ones that are old school Tory. You wouldn't get, as I say, wouldn't get your One Nation Tories going across. They'd be better off going to the Labour Party, I feel. In an interview with The Record, Swinney was asked whether he thinks Farage will take over from Sunak. He says, yes, I think there is every possibility. I might even go so far as to say that the likelihood that that might be the case. He says, I don't recognise the Conservative Party. Well, that's the thing. Conservative voters don't recognise it either. And that, of course, is why Farage is rising so fast. He said the Conservative Party is just drifting into a position where it actually is very quite at ease with the arguments of Nigel Farage. And asked if he could see Farage becoming PM if a Labour government fails to deliver, he says it's a possibility. He also said a Farage-led Tory party or government would put a strain on the union. No, it's only you putting the strain on the union with your mad ideas. Why don't you retire, mate? Do us all a favour. It's time to go, isn't it? Go and spend time polishing your bonds. Coming up. It's quite clear that just about everyone in politics is frightened by Farage. And the reason is Farage doesn't have baggage. He isn't behoven. He stands there, he calls it as it is. He's a man of truth. He says, I don't like this is wrong, and this is why it's wrong. And your average Joe on the street looks at Farage and says, you know what, he's right. We shouldn't have to put up with this. Things can be better. Why are we allowing this to happen? Why are all the parties a one-party state? Why are they all the same? Why do they all think the same things on most issues? It's because they're all weffers. They've all been told that that's what they must do. If we actually had a party that stood up and acted in the benefits of the British people rather than the benefits of rich billionaire foreigners, this country would be once more a world leader. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. Let me know what you think. Should Should Farage become Prime Minister, join the Tories and lead them to victory? Who knows? Your opinions, please. Till next time, bye.